Not sure if many of you know, but we do have a virtual tier within the Design Coven, virtual pro member tier, which includes 3 virtual meetings a month where we set intentions. We do group coaching. So bring all your questions. We answer those questions and you get to learn from other people going through the same struggles as you. We also do a business practice meeting. So we'll have somebody on to share a business practice that we can all benefit from. And then we also do a product training. So getting a sustainable, eco-friendly line to come on, share who they are so that we can be supported with other like-minded businesses. And if you're not quite ready for pro, you can always join our free community where you will connect with other like-minded holistic interior designers. You don't have to be an interior designer if you are kind of just dabbling or you're aspiring or you're looking into this field. We invite everybody from all journeys, and you don't, again, have to be a designer. You don't have to have a degree. We're just a beautiful community of like-minded people looking to create healing spaces, not just for ourselves, but for our clients and future clients. Come join us at designcoven.com/join. Hello there. We do have a guest today. We have Anne Kellett. She is a seasoned interior designer, and we are talking all about inclusive design, which is so important and so needed in our field of interior design. We want to make sure that we are including everybody into our design practice and when we're designing now and into the future. So just a little bit about Anne. Anne is an independent interior designer with 47 years experience in the field of residential interior design. She's earned her bachelor's degree in Textiles and Interior Design from the University of Connecticut in 1969 and her master's from Oregon State University in 1971. Her design career began in New England, Connecticut to Vermont to Maine, then traveled south to Williamsburg, Virginia, and now continues in Southern California. Anne is a past president of the San Diego chapter of ASID and is a certified aging in place specialist. She is retired from the Design Institute of San Diego, where she taught textiles and business practices, and was also the career development and internship advisor and faculty advisor for the student chapter of ASID at Design Institute. Anne's former design firm, A Kinder Space, was known for creating safe, easy to use, and beautiful spaces that strove to address the present and future needs of her clients. Anne's prime goal is always to interpret those needs and desires in an aesthetically pleasing way, to make spaces work for them, not against them, to create an environment in which they can live and work more positively and independently. Anne brings care and respect and empathy into the designer-client relationship, providing innovation and excellence. Her work has established a reputation for interior spaces that function beautifully. Anne is outgoing, energetic, humorous, well-spoken, and hardworking, comfortable speaking in front of others, and a natural teacher, as you will soon discover in our episode today. We also have a workshop with Anne that is an inclusive workshop showing us how to integrate these practices into our current interior design projects. I hope you enjoy this episode. There's so many aha moments here and beautiful takeaways. And I also hope that you're able to join us for the live workshop, which happens virtually on Zoom through the Design Coven as a pro member. So if you're not a pro member, please join us so that you can gain this experience from Anne. And if our workshop has happened in the past, when you listen to this in the future, know that as a pro member, you do have access to the past recordings. Alrighty, I hope you enjoy. You're listening to the Holistic Interior Design Business Podcast. This is a podcast that guides you as a new or inspiring independent interior designer navigating your entrepreneurial path. Here, with my over 20 years experience, I will share my holistic approach to design with intention and ancient practices, including feng shui, all incorporating mind, body, and spirit into my design projects. You will also learn from seasoned interior designers as they give strategies and insight of how they built their businesses and continue to work in the field. Together, we will discover supportive trade partners, new ideas, creatives, and inspiring artists from around the world. I'm your host, Rachel Lorraine Crawford. Hello, and welcome back to the Holistic Interior Design Business Podcast. We have a special guest today. We have Anne Kellett, who is coming on, and we're talking about inclusivity with interior design. So this is huge. She's got so many years experience, and I'm excited to dive in. Welcome, Anne.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Rachel. I'm excited.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to light a candle just so that I can get grounded here and present with you. With, that beautiful intention of creativity, learning, getting some wisdom from a fellow designer.
Bringing in the ages, this wisdom, the spirit.
Important. Super important. And I've got crystal cards. So I'm pulling from the Radiant Crystal deck. Let's just see what crystal is coming forward for us. What do we need to know? Oh, we have kunzite. Love, divine connection, and creativity.
Perfect.
Yes. And this is all heart chakra. So really opening up our hearts, compassion. And I think that goes a lot, with interior design, and especially being conscious and inclusive of all people, right? So
perfect. Love it.
Beautiful.
I love it.
All right, Anne. So what is home to you? What is home at the moment for you?
Well, I live in a condo in Tierra Santa, part of San Diego. And we've lived here for probably almost 20 years since I moved to San Diego. Recently, my husband passed away about a year ago. And so I'm sort of reclaiming this space, and it's becoming very modeled kitchen, done some other things to it to really make it feel wholly me, and it feels good. So, and it's 10 minutes away from my grandchildren, so that's perfect.
That's the best. That's the best.
It is the best.
I love it. And I know you've been in the design world for such a long time, and it's such an honor to be able to connect with you and to learn from you. Can you share with us just a little bit about how you came into this world as far as design and accessibility?
It's hard for me to say that I've been practicing now for 47 years, because it just seems like yesterday, and yet it seems a million miles away as well at the same time. It's sort of a both and. I was an Army brat, which means my parents moved a lot. And I think my mother, in 22 years of marriage, made 30 different spaces for us to live in.
Oh my goodness.
And she always did it with grace and aplomb. I mean, I wouldn't call her an interior designer, but she made draperies, she made slipcovers, she hung pictures. She made us feel home wherever we were. And I think I learned from her inadvertently how to do that. And I think that's the essence of what I like to do, is create a home, comfortable, loving space for wherever you are, whoever you are. And so I really didn't go into interior design initially. When I went, I really wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a medical doctor. Now, this is I graduated from high school, drum roll, 1964. So if any of you have seen the movie Hidden Figures, about the African-American women who worked for NASA, that is the era that I graduated from high school in.
Wow.
So the idea that a woman wanting to be a doctor was, my father said, no, women don't need to be doctors. So I thought, okay. And before the women's movement, so I didn't say, hell yes, I'm going to be a doctor. I just went along with it. So I went to college, and my first year or two was in sciences, and I experienced a lot of discrimination, quite frankly, a lot of sexual discrimination from males about being a woman in science. And then I had a roommate who was in home economics, and she was doing sewing and cooking and fabrics, and I sewed all my life, and I thought, you can actually major in this? I have no idea. So I really looked into that it was a interior design, clothing and textiles fashion department at University of Connecticut, and I fell in love. And from that on, I haven't looked back.
That's amazing.
So I graduated, I got married, I moved to Oregon. He was a graduate student, and I thought, well, the only way to live with a graduate student was to be one. So I got my master's in textiles and interior design, and then have been doing that since then. So it's been my only career, and that's
goodness.
probably why I've been doing it such a long time. But I've morphed and grown over the years, and learned. I can never stop learning. Is what I never stop learning. Even on my latest job, I learned something. But it's just really been an honor to do that. But it's changed over the years. I started in working for an Ethan Allen gallery, selling furniture. Then worked for a small company that did mostly antiques and big old homes. And then I've just had a myriad of kinds of parts of the interior design field, but all residential pretty much.
Okay.
I have stuck residential. I've done some commercial work, but I really love the connecting with the client and really making a difference, making their home their home. And that's always been my love. Some of the students when I taught, didn't want to have that much connection with clients. They wanted to be the commercial designer who did all the design and then didn't have to deal with, I'd really rather have that color instead of that color, But for me, that's all part of the mix and the process, and I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Definitely. Yeah. There are definitely those personalities that can connect with a residential client versus a commercial client, and then that's part of the journey too, is figuring out like, well, where do I thrive and how do I want to navigate this, and who do I want to work for with a client.
Right.
That's really cool. I also used to work for Ethan Allen a long time ago. It was in 2006. I was there for about a year. And I think there's a few other people that have come on that have been Ethan Allen alumni, which is...
It was a great way to start the business. I will say back in the 70s when I started, mid-70s, that they had a wonderful educational program, and it was a very contained product market. And it was a way to learn how to do an entire space, residential space in one store.
Yeah.
So it was a great way to cut my teeth on business, but quickly went into, the larger world,
yes,
but with more confidence under my belt. So
yes.
I have great respect for Ethan Allen and what I learned there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a great starting point. And like you said, just doing it under one roof, under one company. And then it's like, once you get there, it's almost like taking off the training wheels and diving into all these other places.
Yes, indeed. And I tell students, the first job you have isn't going to be the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But it's going to be the one that, kind of you get your feet wet and you kind of look around and you say, okay, I like this part. I don't like that part, or whatever. And that job will lead to another job, which leads to another job. And then ultimately, it took me quite a while before I had the courage to go out on my own. But I learned, I try to be a sponge, learn as much as you can from every place you work. And then build
especially if they're giving you education and they're fostering that, so it's like take advantage of all that education that you can get, because once you're on your own, then you're going to have to try to facilitate, right, creating those opportunities for yourself, and we try to give that too.
And I think joining ASID, I was a while before I would live in Vermont and then moved to Virginia, and got reconnected with ASID in Virginia, and that really helps me connect with other designers and to learn more networking and how to, more support system.
Yeah,
which I think is really important for designers, because working in a vacuum is not a good thing. We need each other. We need.
Absolutely, and that was part of creating the Design Coven and then reconnecting with ASID. Because I was so involved with ASID, especially being a student, and then shortly thereafter, and then I kind of stepped out a little bit, and now I'm like, wait, I need to reconnect, right? I need to get back with my community of designers. So really important.
It's a wonderful, whatever it is, NKBA or ASID or IIDA, whatever organization, professional organizations are really help you become a better you, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you mentioned students a lot. Are you currently teaching?
I taught for 10 years. When I moved to San Diego 20 years ago, 2004, almost 20 years ago, I came out here to teach. I have been a designer for many years, and it's really difficult to pick up a design business from one end of the country and put it back into work in another part of the country. It takes a good 2 years before you build up clientele to really be able to make the living. And I've always enjoyed teaching. And so I remember visiting my daughter who lived out here and seeing an ad in the San Diego Home and Garden magazine, which no longer exists, but it was a wonderful magazine for Design Institute of San Diego. And so I thought, I looked at that, I could teach. So sure I can, why not? So I had an interview, and they hired me right away. And I said, well, I have this challenge. I have a business to get rid of in Virginia. I have a house to sell, and I have a husband to convince. And that took me 3 years, but they kept the job. So I started teaching there in 2007, I think it was. And no, 2004.
Okay.
And I taught there for 10 years, and I really I learned so much, and I loved interacting with the younger folks, and so there would be seasoned folks in the class too. I mean, older. I mean, it was a full range, but I really, really loved it. And I think I started out teaching introduction to interior design, just all the basics, principles of art, and all of the bits and pieces that you learn in the intro. And then I taught textiles. Textiles was my real love. I love fabric. I do a lot of kitchens and baths now, so whenever I go into a fabric show, it's like, oh, I'm home.
Yes.
Show me the fabrics. And I really, really love that. And then I also taught business practices. And then I did career development, and did the internship program at Design Institute.
Oh, amazing.
So it was. So I had all first-year students and fourth-year students, and it was really great. I really, really, really loved it. I did retire, and I took on the position of president of ASID for a year. And I knew that I had to really, really, really focus on that. And so, and I was ready. I was ready to then grow my business into more of what it has become. Because it did take a little bit of a turn when I came out here. I did switch my focus from general residential into more the specialty that I do today.
Got it. So can you kind of share with us the specialty that you're in and how you got into that world?
Well, when we were looking for places to live, my husband was 14 years older than I am. So I knew that wherever we had to live, where we're going to live, it needed to be something that we could grow old in.
Got it.
Because I'm not there yet, but he was getting anyway, I wanted to find a place. So I noticed in all of our looking at different houses that there were steps, and there were narrow doorways, and there were physical impediments to the built environment was not friendly to people with challenges. And he didn't particularly have any at that point, but that does take part of age. So we found a condo where we could drive in, and the garage is underneath, get in an elevator, go down the hallway, and we're in a condo. So it was perfect for that kind of thing. And then so that really got me interested in, is this something you can specialize in? And so I did some research, and yes, it is. There is the National Association of Home Builders, the NAHB, has a 3 series class called Certified Aging in Place Specialty, is what the CAPS. That's the part of my appellation, that is Certified Aging in Place Specialty, and it's 3 classes. It's a full day, and then you learn about the challenges of designing for people in the aging population. You do learn about marketing and a little bit about business and a number of other things that make it specialty. And then I took some classes through USC. I have a certification in home modifications through them, and then just started, really trying to focus on that. And I've always loved the concept of universal design. Yes. Universal design is something that was really brought to the fore, I think, in the late 80s, maybe early 90s, after the ADA was put into the civil rights ADA practice was put into law, where people should have equal accessibility for all. So a lot of the design, what we call Title 24 and the ADA codes came into being then, which were necessary for commercial spaces of public accommodation. But most of those solutions were pretty ugly, and they really still are, many of them. And so Ron Mace, who was an architect at North Carolina State University, came up with a concept that, design should be universal for everyone. And it should be available and beautiful to the general public. It shouldn't be relegated to a small population, and it should not be ugly. So So that's where the concept of universal design came about, and it really doesn't just apply to interiors. It applies to media, to all kinds of things. There are 7 principles, which I can't take off the top of my head. But yeah, they're concepts that you need to understand to make something universally or usable by as many people as possible. So I like the term inclusive design more than universal design. Universal design is still somewhat confusing to people. They think, well, what do you mean it's gonna work for all over the world? No. And it doesn't really. It's not really meant for that. But inclusive to me is more friendly and speaks more about where my heart is in terms of that. And it talks about, you are, no matter whether you're 7 or 70, you should be able to use a space just like anybody else.
Right.
And so that's really where my passion is. And you would be surprised, even in housing that is for over 55, the kinds of things that are not included in those spaces. But they really, to me, it's good design for everybody. It's the way we should design all the time.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. And I think you're so right about that. It's like just having that integrated in our design. So it's not like we're segmenting where we're like, okay, well, this project we're being inclusive and this project we're not. It's like, it's always inclusive on all projects, right? Yeah, because we never know like who's going to connect in there, who's going to, sell the house and it goes to the next person. We want to be able to offer good design to everybody.
Yeah, and I think especially and this is where your younger designers come in, which I think is so important. I think you understand how long what you're doing now, how long it's going to impact the population going forward. I mean, there are some built spaces that are 5,000 years old now. I don't think anything I build is going to be 5,000 years old. But if I design and build a house or modify a house, it's going to be at least 75, maybe 100 years.
Yeah.
Standing, unless we have the big earthquake out here in California. But so what we do now is going to impact generations following us. And so it's really, really, really important that the younger generation and anybody doing this kind of work understands the broader view that you need to have when you're designing, especially now going forward, because there's a big driver of change coming along.
Absolutely.
With the demographics. And it's really important to understand that and just make it part of your practice so that, you don't have to turn down a house because it has too many steps or it's got that 24-inch doorway into the bathroom, which is ridiculous. I don't know who ever thought of that. But so on and so forth. So,
yeah, absolutely. It's huge. And are you currently designing as well as offering consultations?
I am. My official retirement date from active design was January 1 of this year. I thought I was all done. I got this one done. I got this one done. I got this one done. And then I had a client call me in January. Anne, you won't believe it. We had a slab leak, and now we need to do the rest of the space. So I said, well, she's a wonderful client. And actually her house is going to be on the ASID NKBA kitchen and bath tour in April. So people will get to see this wonderful space and the bathroom that I designed for her husband, Stan. But so I'm working with her. And then I had one other client who said, no, you can't design. I've been wanting you to do my kitchen for 5 years. I said, well, now's your chance. So it's, all right, we'll do it now. So
get on it.
Basically, So basically, I would like. I mean, as much as I enjoy, it's just getting harder and harder to schlep, pieces of tile and go to 49 showrooms and pick stuff up and then deliver it back. And the 7 o'clock phone calls from the builder in the morning saying, I don't think the tile that got delivered is the right tiles. This is just what you need when you're having your first cup of coffee.
Right.
So I've just sort of said, no, I think what I'd really, really like to do is share what I have to the wider community and, and do that, because that is where my passion really is.
Yeah. I mean, it's brilliant. I just love that you're able to continue your legacy to the next generation of designers. I think that's so rad.
I hope so. I hope they don't think, I hope they listen and really take to heart what I have to say, because I think it's so crucial. And I think the workshops and the mentors, the way I can work with them is to help them learn how to listen and see the greater picture than just what's in front of them. Well, I got a kitchen to do, or I want to use this color. You really, there's a lot more that you can do to broaden your understanding of the entire environment. One thing that I find is that many builders build houses for 30-year-old able-bodied males. Pretty much. But when you look at your extended family, your family gets together, big family reunion. Finally, after COVID, everybody can get together again. You look around. How many 30-year-old able-bodied males are in that crowd?
Not many.
There's men, not that many. Maybe so, sure. But there's tall ones, and there's short ones, and there's skinny ones, and there's not so skinny ones. There's old ones, there's young ones, there's able ones, there's not so able ones, And so these are the people that are going to be using that kitchen or walking in, using that space. So those are the people you need to design for. And just making that mental switch and learning how to talk to people and find out about, who's going to use the space and how do you use the space, and is really what I hope to pass on.
And that's also too just about getting to know your client who is going to be coming into these spaces. I know we designed a home here in Encinitas along with an ADU, and the ADU and the home were both designed with the intention that their parent may be living in that ADU come future. They're in their 50s. They're not looking at, any time recent, but their parents are in their 80s. And so we made sure there's an elevator, the wide doors, and then all the bathrooms are just, you can roll a wheelchair in there. So we have no dams on anything. But just recently, the homeowner, who's only, I think she's 51, she fell and broke her hip. So the house was already set up for her. So she could get in the elevator. Her bed is adjustable. So she's able to get in, set up, do all the things. So her home was very able to handle the broken hip situation.
That's the perfect example, because, I have this saying that, I said, we are all only temporarily able-bodied.
Yeah.
Think about it. We think we're invincible, but we're really only temporarily able-bodied. Something as simple, not breaking hip is a very serious thing.
Yeah.
But being pregnant.
Yeah.
Or, getting COVID and, being exhausted. Whatever the situation is, we're not all 100% all the time. And so when your environment supports you, no matter what, then you're not fighting that as well as what you're trying to, heal from what you had. We're also getting older the minute we're born. So you may think that, I don't need balance bars in my bathroom yet. I'm 50-something. And I say, well, when are you going to install them? After your first fall? Maybe we should put them in before, so you maybe won't.
Yeah. And a lot of times, too, when I'm designing is we'll brace all the walls in those bathrooms, because we know that at some point, even if they don't want it now, it's like, well, let's put them in there and take note of where they're at.
I just put them in now, and I don't even cut. It's just, this is a beautiful jewelry for the bathroom. I mean, you can get it in matte black and brushed bronze. I mean, let's just make it match everything, and it's so seamless. It's beautiful, and it's there.
Yeah.
And not everything is for a wheelchair either, because only about 1 in 100 people are in a wheelchair. So accessibility is a whole range, and actually 1 in 4 people in the general population, 1 in 4, that's 25% of your have some sort of different ability.
Amazing.
Whether it's seeing or hearing or moving or lifting or whatever it is, those are different abilities, and we need, that needs to be accommodated. Now, when you get to the population over 65, that becomes 1 in 4. 40%, not 1 in 4, that's not right, 4 in 10, so 40%.
Wow.
Math was never my strong suit. I can do drapery calculations, but some things I can't. But 40% of the population has some sort of disability challenge or different ability. And so one of my pet peeves is, or not pet peeves, but one of my focuses now is people building ADUs. So you mentioned that you did this for a client. How many people build an ADU just with the idea that they're going to make extra money?
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
And they don't think about the fact that when we called them granny flats, that at least gave you an idea that maybe it should be designed to get a little easier to get around in. Okay. But what these people don't understand is if they build an ADU, even if it has stairs, and I'm not talking stairs, not bad, you're restricting your market reach to only 60% of the population rather than 100. And I don't think
that's a great
let's talk
point.
Dollars and cents. So you're limiting your market reach. So when you incorporate these principles into everything you design, you're not limiting the people using it, and you're not limiting your market reach if you're trying to market to the entire population.
Yeah, so smart. Yeah, that's so key. I love that. Yeah, I'm totally going to be thinking of you the next time we design an ADU. And we've got a workshop with the Design Coven and you. So our designers get to connect with you on this level of learning about inclusivity. Can you share a little bit about what that workshop is going to entail? Kind of give a little teaser to anyone that is thinking about maybe joining us?
Yes, I think I'm going to give you I'm going to change your mind. I'm going to broaden your mind, number one, as I've said a little bit, to really give you a new set of eyes. And I'm going to hopefully teach you how to listen a little bit better. So the first thing you do when you're listening is you put this away.
Yep.
Okay. And you don't think about, learning how to actively listen.
Yeah.
My husband and I used to teach Marriage Encounter, which was a weekend for marriage communication. We learned a lot about active listening to the other person, and not just listening to their words, listening to their whole person. And I think that's something that, it's hard to do on Zoom, but it's easier to do in person. But you can read a lot about people by listening to them and looking how they move in their spaces and knowing what questions to ask them to identify what's going on with them and when you're designing a space. So that I hope to teach some of that.
Yes.
Of that kind of awareness. And then introduce you to some resources that are beautiful.
Yes, we love resources.
I mean, really beautiful resources, and maybe even do some brainstorming about different floor plans as to how we can make this one more. How can we make this better? And sharing that, and and showing some examples of what I've done so that you can see that they can be beautiful. Because I have 3 bywords: safe, easy to use, and beautiful. Those are 3 bywords. If I don't incorporate all of those into my design, I have failed. They may still be beautiful, but it needs to be worked. So that I hope that philosophy I hope to impart to other people, and then I can be as a mentor. That you have a particular project that you're working on, and you can't see the forest for the trees because you just can't see it. And
you're so close.
Maybe I can suggest 1 or 2 things that might make it better. And not every space is going to be 100% accessible all the time, but I think if you can, there are things that you can do as a general rule to make it certainly better and easier for everybody. Because when you design to the most challenged person who might work in that space, it's easier for everybody.
Absolutely.
Everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I hope to do. And I think have some fun in the process.
Heck yeah, we're going to have totally fun. But so in your own personal practice with consulting, how do people work with you? Is it like an hourly thing? Do they do package rates? Both and. Okay.
I will work on an hourly basis with someone. If we have just want to do a one-on kind of thing, I can do that too. I can also do a package, like a 4-hour package, based on, and covering the different things that I talked about. And I can do that for a staff. I can, for say you work for a design firm and you want to do a 1-hour lunch and learn 4 weeks in a row or something like that. I could come in and do that and break it down into that kind of package.
Super cool. I love it.
Either way.
It's fantastic.
Very easy. My website is in the process of putting together, so it's not up and running yet. But when it is, it will be very simple, AnneKellett.com.
Great.
And I will announce that when that is up and running. But,
let us know. We'll add you to the, our resource list with the Design Coven. We'll share it, and then we'll also put the link in the show notes when that's available. Perfect. And we'll also have your email. So if anyone misses the actual workshop, you can still get in touch with Anne and, hire her as a consultant for your business. And I mean, that just adds more value to your own business, right? That we can offer inclusivity with design and accessibility.
Well, I did a short survey at a couple of meetings that I went to. Was that how would it benefit you? And different designers, a little different than builders, but very similar. I was really surprised. They wanted to broaden their, they wanted to expand their skill set, broaden their market reach, increase client satisfaction. And the designers wanted to make a difference. The builders weren't so much about making differences, but that's just typical of designers. We want to make a difference in the world.
We do.
Builders just want to go in there and build it. And I'm beginning to talk to architects too. So.
Oh, that's very cool.
Really fun.
Fantastic.
Really fun.
Yeah, so our workshop will be with Anne on Friday. So any of you that are in the Design Coven Pro member will have access. And if you're a new member, you will have access to past recordings. So if you're listening to this well into the future and you're a Pro member, you do have access to all the past trainings, which is really, really neat to have as an offering. And I always like to end our conversations with, what's keeping you grounded? How do you stay centered? What do you do to be mindful? I love learning.
Well, I am a practicing, I'm a practicing Christian. I'm of the Episcopal sort, which means I'm very inclusive and not threatening and very. Yeah. It's okay to ask questions, and so my faith grounds me a lot. This next week is Palm Sunday through Holy Week.
Oh yeah,
which is a wonderful experience to go through, even year after year after year, to realize how much I am loved. As we are all loved. We're all beloved children of God, no matter what our faith is. We are all created as beautiful children of God. And once when I know that, I'm grounded.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
I don't have to worry about it. So
yeah. Oh, I love it. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
Of course. Well, I'm excited for our workshop on Friday. Can't wait to dive in. And if anyone has questions or wants to learn more, Anne's here, I'm here, and you can find all the information in the show notes. Thank you. You've been listening to the Holistic Interior Design Business Podcast. If it's one that you have been enjoying, please share with anyone else that you think can benefit from this knowledge. And leave us a 5-star review that helps us get seen and found by other new and aspiring interior designers. And if you're looking for mentorship, I invite you to join our club here at the Design Coven. It's a bridge between school and real life interior design. We get in much deeper there. We have virtual and in-person events. So everyone is welcome. You don't need to have a design degree to be part of it, just an interest in holistic interior design. I also want to thank our editor, Marcy Ferry, Blake Ferris, for all of her special help with the podcast, our social media posts, newsletter, and lastly, Kinseth Thibodeau, who is our music composer. Until next time, be well, and we will see each other soon.